All right, so let's start with the big story that we're tracking and beyond at this hour. The United States and Iran have concluded the nuclear talks in Oman, and both nations have agreed to continue talks on Iran's nuclear program next week. Now, Oman's top diplomat who mediated the talks between the United States and Iran in Muscat on Saturday said that they were held in a very friendly atmosphere and also launched a quest for a fair and a binding agreement. Now, Oman's foreign minister acted as an intermediary in the high-stakes talks in Muscat and said that the negotiators also spoke directly for a few minutes. Now, Iran says that it is giving diplomacy a chance and is hoping to reach a fair deal with the United States, which involves uplifting of sanctions on Tehran.
We are giving a real and sincere chance to diplomacy. The aim is to use dialogue to address the nuclear issue from one side and, more importantly for us, to advance the removal of sanctions.
Now, Trump has repeatedly threatened to unleash airstrikes targeting Iran's nuclear program if a deal is not reached. The American president prefers a nuclear deal rather than direct military confrontation with the Islamic Republic. Now, key regional players like Saudi Arabia have also shifted strategies, favoring engagement or confrontation with Tehran. Now, Trump's negotiator Steve Witkoff has said that the U.S. position begins with the demand that Iran should completely dismantle its nuclear program, a view of hardliners around Trump that few expect Iran will accept. Now, responding to Trump's threat, Iran has said that it will expel United Nations nuclear inspectors, a move that Washington has warned would be a clear escalation. While the West has maintained that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons, Iran says that its facilities are for research purposes. But recently, Khamenei's advisers said that if the West continues to pressurize Iran, then it will have no option but to resort to nuclear weapons. Now, experts say that the high-stakes nuclear talks show strong desire by both the nations to resolve the issues through diplomacy. But the meeting, of course, requires a technical follow-up.
Personally, I don't believe that today's meetings in Muscat will resolve all of these issues. These matters require technical teams. Nuclear weapons and the specifics of nuclear limitations demand specialized expertise. Foreign ministers address political matters and can discuss the political framework, but these issues, with all their complexities, require the involvement of technical delegations.
While the United States can offer sanctions relief for Iran's beleaguered economy, it remains unclear as to just how much will Iran be willing to concede. Under the 2015 Iranian nuclear deal, Iran could only maintain a small stockpile of uranium that was enriched up to 3.67% purity. And today, Tehran's stockpile could allow it to build multiple nuclear weapons if it were to so choose it. And it will have some material enriched up to 60%, a short technical step away from weapons-grade levels. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what these talks, of course, means, we are joined on this broadcast by retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who's a military expert and also a host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. Colonel Davis, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Beyond. And let me start off by asking you this. In your assessment, the fact that the talks were held in Muscat and from what seems to have transpired in that meeting there, it does look like an encouraging start. What's your assessment?
Anytime you get negotiations and people are willing to talk at the diplomatic level, that is something to be encouraged. And I am all for this being resolved in amicable, win-win ways, anything that you can do to prevent the possibility of escalation into war. Obviously, the devil's in the details, and what the two sides want at this point are still quite far apart. So it remains to be seen whether or not we can get it done to the satisfaction of both. It can obviate the possibility of armed conflict. But, I mean, that's what negotiations are for, and they should be given every opportunity to succeed.
Right. Now, there was an Iranian nuclear deal that was signed, of course, when Barack Obama was the president back in 2015. It was called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And when Donald Trump took charge of the White House in 2018, he tore that agreement apart, describing it to be the worst negotiated agreement in American history. How different do you think this agreement would be that Donald Trump's team could be signing? And if the Americans were to agree for an Iranian nuclear deal again, do you think America's close ally in West Asia, the state of Israel, would be happy that America and Iran are striking another nuclear deal?
Well, that is part of the challenge that we have this time, because after a painstaking, I think about a 2-year process under President Obama to get the JCPOA enacted, then President Trump just got rid of it as soon as he came into office with the claim that he was to negotiate a better deal. Obviously, during his first term, that never happened. When the Biden administration came in, they tried to kind of resurrect it, but then really did nothing for 4 years. And now here comes Trump saying he wanted a deal in 2 months. He put a deadline on this originally from March 19th on. We'll see if that was just a pressure negotiation. But the question is going to be, will Iran trust anything the United States does? And because of what happened last time, that this whatever we agree to today could be dismissed tomorrow by whoever may come in next. And that's not going to be a small issue. That there's going to have to be the Iranian side is almost certainly going to be asking for some big asks in order to get some big gives. And that's been one of the hallmarks that the Trump administration has not been willing to do, is to give something to get something. So that's going to have to change, or this is not going to have any more success than he did during his first term.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Colonel Davis, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.